This is the OnePlus Buds Z. This is the second time that OnePlus is challenging the AirPods, and this time it's with an all-new design and a cheaper price. If you thought the OnePlus Buds released a few months ago were AirPods killers, then these OnePlus Buds Zs just might be dancing on their grave. Hi there, I am Titus, and today we're reviewing the OnePlus Buds Z. We're talking comfort, battery, sound, everything you might want to know about these new buds. Also, we'll talk about how the OnePlus Buds Z compare to the original OnePlus Buds, and you might be surprised how well these stack up. Now, normally I start any OnePlus video by mentioning that I'm a OnePlus brand ambassador, but I'm not going to do that today because I resigned a few weeks ago. If you're curious why, I will make a statement at the very end of this video, but let's get to the main event. Let's talk about the OnePlus Buds Z. In the box, you'll find a short cable, some additional silicone tips, the OnePlus Buds Z, and their case. By the way, OnePlus, this cable is not long enough for earbuds like this. Now, I know OnePlus and other companies have included cables like this with their devices for a while now, but it's never occurred to me how inconvenient this is, because I've always used my other USB-C cables instead of this. Like, this thing is maybe 6 inches. Who on earth has a power outlet that's within 6 inches of the ground? And don't give me that Apple excuse like, oh, we're saving the earth by shipping smaller cables, because this is literally garbage. You shipped me garbage. Like, maybe you could work it by hanging it like this, but who in their right mind is gonna do that? Okay, sorry, rant over. Most of the rest of this video is gonna be positive because these are pretty great. The case is a glossy white, whereas the original OnePlus Buds case were more of a matte finish. And the buds themselves are glossy white, and they look similar to AirPods, but I think they look more close to AirPods Pro. But I don't think anyone would confuse these for AirPods Pro, if that makes sense. Looking at the new Buds Z and the regular OnePlus Buds, and just comparing the case and the style of the earbuds, you might think that they were made by different companies. Comfort-wise, I really like these. It's a really tough call to say if these are more or less comfortable than OnePlus Buds. It's super close. I think I like the Buds Z more, but there is some good news because I've talked to several people that say that OnePlus Buds or even AirPods just easily fall out of their ears, and I don't think you'll have the same problem with these because these silicone tips, they just kind of lock into your ears really well. I've even exercised with these OnePlus Buds Z, and they stay in much better. I could wear these for hours and be happy. Now, the most comfortable earbuds I've ever used are the AirPods Pro, and I would say these are pretty close to as comfortable as those. But these silicone tips do more than just help stay in your ears. They help a ton with sound quality. Because of the silicone tips, the noise isolation is actually pretty good. It's not as good as I would say like AirPods Pro because those have actual noise cancellation, but it definitely does a better job than AirPods and OnePlus Buds. Also, it sounds like they boosted the bass a little in these. It's a slightly deeper bass sound signature. It's not heavy-handed or over the top, just a good sound. Now, I didn't notice this at first, but going back and forth between the original and the new Buds, it definitely was a noticeable difference in the bass. Now, the battery life whenever you take them out of the case and the buds themselves, it's a little over 4 hours at a decent volume, whereas the normal OnePlus Buds were closer to about 7 hours. I think for most people, they're not gonna care about this difference. The only exception I would say is if someone's trying to literally use these for their entire 8-hour shift at work or something like that. Now, both of these have fast charging when you plug in the case into the wall, and the normal Buds get about 10 hours of battery when you plug them in for 10 minutes, whereas the Buds Z gets about 3 hours of battery when you plug them in for 10 minutes. Now, that's also a pretty major difference, but I think for myself and for other people as well, it won't make that much of a difference. 3 hours and 10 minutes is still enough to get you through a workout or a train ride or a study session or anything like that. The microphone quality is fine. It's still not as good as AirPods, but it's pretty close. It's about the same quality that I got when testing the original OnePlus Buds. People could hear me and understand me, but it wasn't like my voice sounded pristine. Now, I will note that if you just have one bud in your ears, it sounds noticeably worse when you're talking to someone through the microphone than when you use both buds. One feature that gamers might appreciate is when you're gaming on a OnePlus device, the buds can enter a low latency mode. I did some testing, and sure enough, I got latency around 100 milliseconds when using an app called Audio Tester. Now, I thought they removed this next feature. On the original OnePlus Buds, you could actually switch between two devices by holding down the touch spot for 3 seconds. I really like that feature. I looked all over their site and it didn't mention this anywhere. I also looked in the instructions and it didn't mention that. But out of curiosity, I tried it out, and sure enough, it works. Now that was awesome news, and by default you can double tap the buds to go forward or backwards on the tracks that you're listening to, but if you have a OnePlus device you can change that functionality and even trigger the Google Assistant on the double tap. And perhaps the most useful feature that was clearly inspired by AirPods, pulling out the OnePlus Buds Z pauses your content and placing them back in your ears starts to play it again. Now if you haven't watched my video before where I compared the OnePlus Buds on an iOS device, you can find that video right here. But I am happy to report that out of the box, without any updates or anything like that, and the OnePlus Buds Z had the exact same results as the original OnePlus Buds on my iPhone right here. I go into much more detail on that video, but even things like pulling these out of my ear to pause and placing them back into play on an iPhone works. And there's a lot of other cool things that work too. Okay, conclusion time. I alluded at the beginning of this video that the OnePlus Buds Z might be like dancing on the grave of the AirPods, but to be honest, I kind of see them as OnePlus Buds killers. Now, if the OnePlus Buds Z were more expensive than the OnePlus Buds, this might be a tougher choice. But if I'm being completely honest, I like the Z's better. Now, I'm not saying that if you bought the OnePlus Buds and you're happy with them that you need to immediately get rid of them and replace them with these. But I think the only people that should consider OnePlus Buds are people who just love AirPods and want something as close to that as possible. Or the people who will benefit from that extra battery life I talked about earlier that the OnePlus Buds offer. But for me, I think these are more comfortable. I like the sound quality, and the corners that they cut on these really weren't deal breakers for me. I like these better. If you're looking for something like this and haven't pulled the trigger yet, I think the OnePlus Buds Z is the direction I would recommend. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like and subscribe for more content like this. It helps a ton, and I really appreciate those of you who do that. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I'm not a OnePlus brand ambassador anymore. To be completely clear, it's not anything OnePlus did, and it's not anything I did. I still like them as a company, and they even offered to let me come back if I wanted to at a later date. Now, I can make a much bigger statement about this if you guys are curious, but the TLDR is, I started to feel like people's perception about my opinion of OnePlus products might be impacted by the fact that I'm a OnePlus brand ambassador. Now, to be clear, I don't think it did impact my opinion, but having to start off every video by saying I'm a OnePlus brand ambassador, I guess I just kind of started getting concerned that people might get that idea after a while. And I don't want that. I don't want people to think that I was like in their pockets or anything. Not to say that there weren't any perks, but the perks really didn't help my YouTube channel, and that was the whole point of me joining the OnePlus brand ambassador program. So in the end, I decided, what's the point in being a part of this if it's not helping my YouTube channel? Now, with that said, I will tell you this. If OnePlus ever opens up the brand ambassador program again for more applicants and you're interested and you love OnePlus, I would say go for it. It was a ton of fun. I love traveling to different places and getting to play with all their cool tech. Okay, I guess that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching again. And I'm Titus, by the way, if you missed my name. And I guess I will see you next time.